The following broadcast may contain explicit language and adult themes. Viewer discretion is advised. The opinions expressed in this broadcast are those of the hosts, talent, and guests, and do not reflect the opinions, views, and standards of Pyro Media Enterprises, affiliates, subsidiaries, or its members.
And you better talk to me nicely. Next to blow, that bitch I might be. Oh, can't forget all the days they overpriced me. So now that we up, don't good advice we know. Talk to me nicely. I know that they hit it, we getting icy. Whoa, can't forget all the moments they overpriced me. So now that we up, don't good advice we know. We on top, flipping the bird, they going sick. But I'ma make them eat every.
Hey, everybody. It is Giselle, and I am back with another episode of I Have Thoughts. Now, before we get into the thoughts, I gotta let y'all know, I'm not here for real. Like, I'm here, but I ain't here for real, right? Your girl is booked and busy, and as y'all know, the closer that we get to Pride, child, the more that they want the trans girls, the babies, the gabies, and all the rest of the babies in the community to come and get a coin, and I'm never going to run away from it. So we're doing this a little avant-garde today, but the tea is still going to be the same. The hits are still going to hit, and the gems will still be dropped. So y'all know I had to double back on this one because Black Twitter was keeping me up on my Black stuff, and Lord, Brian McNaught is at it again, okay? You see, last week, y'all, I filled y'all in just on my regular basic thoughts about this man, okay? I wanted to just give y'all a little bit of nuance, and I tried to give space for Brian last week because I was like, you know, it's just real awkward and strange that he's not really paying attention to the kids from his first marriage. But girl, when I tell y'all that Black people, and especially Black women, are like the CIA up out of here, right? It takes one picture. And before you know it, we got your whole life plastered on our refrigerator for the entire community to have conversation and discourse about. And girl, what we found out about Brian, he in danger, girl. So essentially, this man not only decided that he, you know, is going to boast and brag about his stepchildren and his children, you know, with his new wife, Leilani, but that he has been doing this for years. On an interview that was taken by an amazing reporter that's a part of the thread, mind you, of people that are just talking about all of the instances where his children have continuously outed him over the years. This woman did an interview with him where he spoke explicitly about the idea that any music that he made prior to his last 3 albums was just not good and that he was not in love. And mind you, all 3 of those albums, including the ones with some of his best hits, were when he was with his original wife. Since then, those last 3 albums that you gave us haven't been good. So I really want to know questions that need answers. And this is no disrespect to the new wife, but is the coochie just not hitting how it's supposed to be hitting? Or because 1 + 1 is not equaling 2 and you're not getting back to that first step the way that you were getting back to that first step when you was hitting with the Black girl? That's all I'm gonna say. I'm not gonna reach too far deep into it because it ain't my business. Do what you want. Love who you want to love, right? Who am I to be talking crap when I'm a Black trans woman? But I'm just saying, when you was with the Black right, it was giving everything that it needed to give, right? You was on the charts then. I didn't even know he had 3 new albums to contribute. So is the love really loving, or are you trying to convince us that it's better over there? Which is exactly what I said last week when I was telling y'all about the idea that a lot of these Black men are not doing it for the same reason that Black women do it, which is why we give hand claps of praise for Serena and we give the side eye to the Bryans of the world, because we often know that a lot of this is coming from a place of trauma and hurt Negro crap. So spare me the details. I don't want to stay on, you know, Mr. McNaught for too much longer. So I'm going to bounce us into our next topic, which is La Met Gala. Okay. Now, I know that all of y'all have been sitting at home like me, critiquing all of these $1 million looks that none of us can afford. And that's okay, because that's our business. In the words of Auntie Tab, that's my business. I got to give it to a couple of people. Jeremy Pope being number 1 on this list. Jeremy came through with Carl on his back, but on top of that, if you don't know, this is a Balmain look. that was saw about Olivier himself. And Olivier also had a little shady piece of bad, girl. And it was very much so giving, we want to nod to the fashion, but also be very mindful that this man wasn't the man that y'all are trying to make him be. A lot of people took the Twitter world and the Instagram world and all of the socials to remind us that while Carl was an amazing person as far as fashion was concerned, he was also a misogynist, a fat phobe, and all the rest of the phobes when it came down to women. And for some reason, nobody wanted to talk about that when honoring his legacy and recognizing that the Met Gala is not a place for political conversation, but it had to be said. With all of those things being addressed, because I know that somebody was going to be like, I know y'all ain't talking about the Met Gala and not talking about this man's history. I just did it. Now we're going to get into the looks. Jeremy was one of my favorites. I love the way that Olivier both honored and shaded at the same time. But let me tell y'all something. There was an alien superstar on the carpet. And I don't know about y'all, but this was Lil Nas X's Met Gala. We were invited, but this was his show. Like, do y'all see the scurry? Can we get a playback so I can see the scurry? Okay, we got the play. The scurry was taking me out. It's this final moment. Just give me 1 second. I think it's like 1-2 seconds. Y'all, look at the scurry. Look at the scurry. Look at it. It's gonna give 1, 2. Girl, it is a trotting unicorn, and I'm here for it. Okay, the cakes were out, all the things were out. And for those of you all that don't understand this look, I'm not saying it was one of my favorite of the night, but the look was on theme. Not only did Lil Nas X play a homage to Coupe, which was Carl's cat, but he also paid homage to a Black makeup artist, Pat McGrath, who has been working with Carl since the inception, really, of all of his, shows, whether it be Chanel, Gucci, whomever. Carl has had a relationship with Pat McGrath, despite all the rest of his allegations for being who he was to women in the industry. He kept that relationship, and he also, was a part of the reason why Pat McGrath's, palettes are costing $125, girl, because But at the end of the day, this look was definitely on theme. How feasible and cute it was, but it was definitely on theme. So just to give folks a little bit of context, because people love to read Lil Nas X for filth and say that he just be doing things for shock value. And while I do believe that this was for shock value, it definitely followed theme. Okay. So next on my list, I believe that I have Janelle Monáe. Now let me tell y'all something. My pansexual heart goes crazy every time I see this person, okay? Because there are several things about Janelle Monáe that could get it. Not even Janelle as a full person, but there are several pieces of Janelle separately. If I could pull them apart like Legos by themselves, they could still get it. Just that part of the body, okay? Now, I don't want to sexualize an AFAB body, and especially a Black one all up over here on the screens and majigga, but I just got to let y'all know. Janelle eats for me. The whole suit unraveling moment could have left at home. The whole sheer dress thing, you could have left that at home. This right here is what I wanted y'all to see, because this right here was all I cared about. That's all I cared about. There's another picture. There's another angle. I need y'all to see this other angle. I need y'all. There's another angle. Look at the body, okay? Look at my lady boner does a thing whenever I see Janelle Monáe, okay? My lady boner be doing things when I see Janelle Monáe. There's just you can't go wrong and years later, it's still giving motifs to Black and white. You cannot have an evolution like this that is so crisp and clean, but still nods back to your earlier years in the music industry. I don't want to wait, because I could do a whole video about Janelle Monáe. But honestly, this Tom Brown look was amazing. I wish that we would have been able to see more of this custom bathing suit moment. But unfortunately, we weren't. I do love the way that they put it together, but I do think that everything else could have kind of been left at home. I do think that Carl was a pioneer for being able to have that bodily autonomy and self-expression, which is why he was also known for being a fat phobe. And I mean, I guess I want to say fortunately, but unfortunately, Janelle kind of fits into the aesthetic that Carl would have liked. And I honestly think that the appreciation for just the bathing suit would have been everything. Before I hop off with Janelle, I do want to take a moment to say thank you to my non-binary sibling. On the carpet, Janelle was asked about whether or not, or how they felt about Black women, or how they felt about being a Black woman, to which Janelle responded, I am not a Black woman. I am a non-binary person. My pronouns are she, they, them, all of the things, but I do not identify as a Black woman. And I appreciated that in a space like the Met, and especially for a publication like Essence or Ebony, which I'm sure it was one of those too that asked that question, to be in a Black AFAB body, which is assigned female at birth, right? To be in that body, but then to also like hold that space for yourself and say, I'm not gonna bend and break because I'm on this carpet. Y'all are gonna catch all this non-binary realness, showed me that not only is Janelle very serious about their identity, but they're also very serious about the visibility of that identity, especially within Black spaces and for Black people and for Black folks in general. And that just warmed my heart. Next up, okay? Next up, because we got a couple more people. Now, this is my babe, Rita Ora. It was giving great value Beyonce, and it's not to say that the look was not the look, right? The look was still the look, but it was giving great value Beyonce. I chose this particular video because I want to get into these nails, right? The editorial nail on Instagram did her thing, okay? And if you've been following the editorial nail on Instagram, like, you know that like the time and work that this creator has put into like building custom nails and doing all of these things for years for celebrities is absolutely insane. It's just like the things that come out of this girl's mind when it comes down to this nail art is ridiculous. And I think that this really gave the edge that Rita needed, but I also hate the glam team for making her look like a mixture of like Lotto and Beyonce. There were certain moments where the angles would catch and you would be like, wait, Lotto got invited. And then there were other moments where you were like, wait, is Beyonce here? And I really want Rita to step into her own image so that it's undeniably her when we see her, because when you see Beyonce, she might have twins, right? And people that are emulating, but there's no other Beyonce. And I find that quite often Rita Ora has been compared to Beyonce, you know, if you're just looking at a picture of her on a glance. And I think that for any celebrity, nobody wants that to be like their moniker, where it's like, you are the girl that looks like so-and-so, you know what I'm saying? So that's my critique, but this is really about the nails for me. They really stole the show. The outfit was really cute, but it reminds me of a new Tom Ford piece from the 2022 fall collection, which is like this sheer but draped moment. It was kind of for the Met Gala, so I'll give it like a 4 out of 10, but the nails are giving me everything that I need. So there's that. Next up on my list, Rihanna. So I have a couple of different takes about Rihanna. Everybody wants to know about Rihanna. Everybody's talking about Rihanna. Everybody's like, oh my God, Rihanna. Like, right, we're always excited to see her work when she shows up on the scene. But what I want to say is that I think, and I've been holding my guns to this, now Rihanna Navy, let me be very clear. We can agree to disagree without you calling me names and saying that you don't like me and blocking Pyro Media Network. It's not that serious. These people don't know us, and Rihanna don't pay either one of our bills, okay? It's okay to be like, you know what, well, you ugly anyway, and still watch the show. Let's not turn this into a huge thing in the comments about how I disrespect Rihanna, because I'm about to. But just remember, she don't pay your bills either, okay? So before you huff and puff and blow my house down, remember, your lights almost got cut off last week, and you could not call Robin to get them turned back on, okay? So let's just breathe. Unclench your jaw. Unclench it. Unclench your jaw. Thank you. Okay. Now, I ain't like it. I ain't like it. Okay. Underneath this, you know, this signature Chanel flower moment, that dress was ill-fitted. It was not giving what it was supposed to have gave. I didn't like the eye makeup at all. It just wasn't doing it for me. I felt like this entire look was rushed and forced. It felt like she really didn't want to go. She decided at the last moment. And here's how I know I don't be tripping. Roll the clip. Roll the clip.
I really only came because I love my dress.
How did it feel to
I wanted to do the, you know, the Karl Lagerfeld bride. You know, that's what he's known for. It's my favorite thing about all of his Chanel shows. The extravagance, the drama, honey. I live for it. I'm feeling good.
How does it feel to come
Look, I can make it up these stairs by myself.
Met with you. How does it feel to come with the little one to be to the Met?
It's fun. I feel like guilty that my firstborn isn't here.
What did you think of the dress?
Baby?
Yeah.
Oh, we got to keep him far away. This is white. He's a boy.
First of all, the first thing that Rihanna said told me everything that I needed to know, which was that she was only there because she liked the dress. If that stylist would have pulled up with anything else, sis would have been like, next year. and that, to me, the entire Rihanna brand has been revolving around laziness lately. Rihanna is like, look, they like me so much that they're gonna buy these drawers and this lipstick and shut up. And so as long as I continue to pop up every now and then, they forget that I'm not really singing. It gives lazy celebrity to me. And I'm not really a fan of that. I think because Rihanna is so innovative in so many other ways, like, I just really wish that she had put some effort into it. I feel like this was the only thing on the rack that the stylist brought. I don't really even feel like, she had a moment with the designer this year. It just feels like this was a completely and purely stylish moment. And it was based upon whether or not she liked anything that was on the rack. And obviously she liked this ill-fitting dress. And I believe that that was a part of the reason why it was ill-fitting, was because there was no actual like designer and Rihanna rapport this year. And I wasn't a fan. ASAP ate her up though. Like, no tea, no shade. ASAP ate her up. ASAP really channeled Karl Lagerfeld. ASAP went there with like the jean and the plaid and the skinny tie. I really feel like ASAP did his dundada on this one as it pertains to the Met Gala. Now, there were so many other amazing people. And if y'all want a separate video about this, then we can talk to my producers about making a separate video just about that. But I didn't want I Have Thoughts to be taken over by all of the things Met Gala, because I have so much more to say, especially about my girl Carisha from the 305 who represented for me. Okay, we might get y'all the clip of that at the end of the show so y'all can see that slayage. But beyond that, I don't want to spend too much time because there are so many other things to take care of. Now, with that being said, I know that I have to go ahead and take a break. I will be back with you all in just 1 second after these words from our sponsors to get into some more controversy, starting with Ebony K. Williams and this bus driver gate, y'all. Don't miss it. I'll be right back.
Talk to me nicely, Next to blow, little bitch, I might be. Oh. Can't forget all the days they overpriced me. So now that we up.
This episode is sponsored in part by Bullet and Flight Radio. Get ready to uplift your spirit with Bullet and Flight Radio, the world's leading progressive Christian radio station. Experience the vibrant fusion of gospel house music and a rich medley of inspiration from all musical genres that'll make your heart soar. Join their extraordinary lineup of today's trailblazers, visionaries, and voices that matter, all sharing their stories and wisdom. Stay plugged in around the clock as they broadcast unmissable content 24/7. Your go-to station for all things inspiring. Become a pilot today by visiting bulletandflightradio.com. Bullet and Flight Radio. Your story, our station.
I noticed they hit it, we getting icy. Whoa, can't forget all the moments they overpriced me. So now that we up, don't get it.
Alrighty, everybody, we are back, and I'm gonna just jump right back into this bus driver gate. Okay. So unless you've been living under a rock in these social media streets, you have heard about Ebony K. Williams, okay? Now, this is a very well-respected, well-known Black woman, lawyer, overall media personality, just all of the things. And obviously, as y'all can see, sis serves by the face, okay? But this week, she was on, or last week, sorry, she was on Iyanla, and they were having a conversation that got pretty interesting. And here's the clip.
Date a bus driver. Would you date
If he owns the bus, if he owns it, if he owns the bus,
See, that's a problem. That's a problem. That's a problem. Okay. Because the standards and requisites, and I'm not talking about him laying on his sofa playing video games all day. I'm not talking about that. But the standards and the criteria that we use to measure men is off for who we are as women and who they are in this society. I would date a bus driver if he loved driving the bus, if he was a man of integrity, if he was good to his mama, if he treated me well, I would date a bus driver. But we think that it's another human being's responsibility to give us what we need instead of us building together. I can build with a bus driver. I'd have my little stash over on the side in my.
I need to cut the clip because there's so much to unpack here, but I got to jump into the fact that the internet went absolutely bonkers on Ebony for just saying that she wouldn't date a bus driver, respectfully, unless he owned the bus. And the correlation that I want to make is in the event that somebody says on a City Girl song, fuck these niggas get money, fuck these broke ass niggas get money, I'm a bad bitch, and for the nigga unless you got a bag, da, 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 da. Like, we be out here in the club trying to have our best life and living our best. I mean, we dancing to Megan. We out here rocking Carisha and JT like they was the motherfucking national anthem. But when it comes down to it, for some reason, Ebony K. Williams says the same exact thing, and y'all are not here for it. Some of the same people that was trying to have a hot girl summer, 2 summers ago and this summer, are telling this lady that, like, oh, you are vain, you're this is why you ain't married. This is like all of these different things that people are bestowing upon this woman. But these are some of the same things that we as women, and I include myself in that, say every single day. I don't want somebody that's broke. I don't want somebody that doesn't have ambition. I low-key don't want somebody that doesn't make more money than me. Because in this particular climate, what we're also recognizing is that women are becoming the breadwinners of the family. And while that's cute and all on paper, at the end of the day, a lot of women, not all, because some women have different preferences and different lifestyles, and that works for them. But a good majority of women still want to feel taken care of. And going home and coming to work and loving that bus does not make me feel that way. Like, I have to say, and especially in the realm of Black women, is that I feel like we've been taught to settle for things. And so we haven't pushed men to be better than being the bus driver. We've been taught that Black women are excelling. And so in some weird way, that also means that Black men are being able to kind of sort of take a back seat on excellence. And what I loved about what Ebony said, even in her response video, which we won't play, because I think that rightfully so, she had a little bit of a tone to it. And I don't like the idea of that being the way that she came back from it. But I think that her tone was righteous after all of the backlash that she experienced from just saying that she did not want to date somebody that she felt was unmotivated to do better, right? It's not that I wouldn't date the bus driver, but if that's all you have aspirations to be, then absolutely the fuck not. Own the company, build a brand, get several different buses, and then we could talk. But the idea of dating Mr. John, Mr. Joe, or Mr. Reginald, and that's all of his life's work is driving this bus to and from every single day while I bring home hundreds of thousands of dollars and support a lifestyle that he would never be able to afford without me, is just not the vibe. And for those of you all who are going to sit back and say, oh, but men do it all the time. Men have also put themselves in the position where that is the expectation, because those are the things that men bring to the table as the talking point. Oh, I bring this, that, and the third financially to the table and a little bit of dick. So what you bringing to the table as a woman? But when a woman says that I bring pussy and this, that, and the third to the table, what do you have to offer? Now I'm ungrateful. Now I'm bashing Black men. Now I'm doing all of these things. And I just don't think that we're being fair in this conversation, especially considering that she even, admitted to us that her mom drove buses for 40 years. But at the end of the day, she does not want to date somebody that she feels like does not have the ambition to do more than simply drive drive the bus. And I think that the question should have been phrased in a way that was more nuanced. Because honestly, what Iyanla really wanted to ask was, would you date somebody that makes less money than you? And I think that the answer to that might have been different than would you date a specific bus driver? We don't know people's traumas. We don't know if Ebony had an issue with somebody who was harassing her as a bus driver growing up. Like, we all know that, like, as Black young women, there's always people that are trying to do stuff and touch stuff. Like, you never know why the answer came or why her answer or her response was that specific to that particular career or this man or this hypothetical situation. But I honestly think that for all the city girls in the audience that love talking about how if a nigga ain't got this or that, hypocrites like shit. And for all the older women that settled for it because they felt like they had no other choice, it was either that or be single, that's not your fault that you were willing to settle for somebody that you felt was beneath you for the sake of not having Geraldine and Barbara George talk shit about you across the street at the bingo game. That's not Ebony's fault. And quite frankly, her standards for her don't have to ever be your standards for you. That was her opinion. Let her have it. And please, let's just move on. Like, why do we make it our business to have conversations about what somebody else requires for their happiness? If we're all in this space of self-care and uplifting women and living your soft life and your best life, why does it matter that a part of her soft life and her best life doesn't include bus drivers? Like, that's just what it is, you know? And I think that honestly, this was a very trifling ass way to come at this woman who has done so many other amazing things and has so many other clips that should have gone viral. And the fact that we as a Black community only decided to uplift her, like, for real, in a major way around this topic says a lot about how we feel about Black women in general. Black women aren't often able to be heard or break ice or glass ceilings until we say something that people feel like is in the negative around Black men. And that's also very telling, but conversations for different days. Now, I have to get into this next segment because it's my last one, but it's my most hard-hitting one. Racists are gonna be racist, okay? This week was a tough week for Black people in general, as it always is. But I got to start with one of the two major stories, which was this young woman getting drugged and beat down in a Dollar General as she was pursuing a theft. Now, I want y'all to take a look at this video. This woman was with her friends attempting to steal. This man was able to corner this one girl out of, I believe it was like about 3 of them. And this ensued, okay? Now, what I want y'all to pay attention to is the fact that I recognize that these young ladies were committing a crime. But what I also recognize is that there's nuance to the fact of how you decided to stop this young woman from committing this crime. Immediately, this man got immediately violent. There was no attempt to grab at the bags or take the bags away from her so that she could leave. He immediately went to going to blows with her as if she was a grown ass 6'2" ass man and started to hit her. Now, people on the comments or on the internet are trying to justify it, and you know that the right wings and the racists are going to pop up out of their shells to be like, oh, y'all are upset because he was trying to apprehend somebody that was stealing. No, we're upset because a lot of that anger and aggression was just misplaced racism. And he used the situation as a catalyst to be able to say, I only did this because she was stealing. When in all actuality, if it was a good Friday night and nobody was around, you still would have committed the same exact crime, whether or not she had a bag or, a gun, whatever she had, it wouldn't have been enough of an excuse, really. And I think that when we look at situations like this, we can acknowledge that 2 things are true. Sis should go to jail, her and all her bags, right? But also what we have to be mindful of is that one of 2 things. We can't say protect women, but then only protect women when we feel like those women are deemed acceptable or credible to community and society and the social conversation. And then we also can't say fuck racist shit and fuck people who indoctrinate themselves in racism. But then when something like this happens, if we feel like the crime fits the ass whooping, now we do away with the nuance of the fact that this could be racist. That is not okay. It never will be okay. And I need for people to stop being the weakest link, and specifically Black men. I need for y'all to stop being the weakest link when it comes down to stuff like this, because any excuse y'all can find to not protect Black women, y'all gonna be like, oh, but she was stealing, so I guess it's not my job. It's never the job of Black men to protect Black women. And at this point, it's like, who else is gonna do it? People are so worried about trans women transitioning and all that other stuff, but low key, we about the best men that some of these girls have, because without us, a lot of these girls would get their ass beat and nobody would say anything. And so it's just kind of like, I'm really wondering where the solidarity comes in for Blackness as a whole, but I'm I'm also wondering where the solidarity comes in for women and protecting women when we're talking about having conversations about what it looks like for Black women to see themselves being in safe spaces no matter where they are, so long as they see other Black people, which is a conversation that I can have 3 times over based on all of my intersections. But we got to move on, because there's another case that I want to talk about that really talks deep to my soul. Take a look. This video here does a lot to me. And it does a lot to me because it pisses me off for a couple of reasons. First things first is that Jordan was simply having what I feel and what I want to diagnose without a degree as like a mental breakdown, right? He was on the train. He was clearly distraught. A lot of people described him as somebody who was, you know, talking about the fact that he did not care about whether he lived. He wanted to go to jail. It was better than being on the streets of New York. It was better than, you know, not having food and water and all of those things. And if you've ever been to New York City, if you've ever lived in New York City, I've lived in New York, I've been to New York, you know that this is not something that's abnormal on a New York train. At any given point of any given day, somebody could come onto the train and dance or masturbate. That's just where you are when it comes down to a New York City train. So the idea of this man coming on the train and complaining about his unfortunate circumstances is not something that I would get up in arms about unless he was just swinging or holding a weapon or something, which to my knowledge and to the response of most of the witnesses, he was not doing any of those things. He was just loud and talking about how much his life sucked, which, I mean, if we're being honest, most of us, when we get home from work and there's nobody at the crib, do the same exact thing. So let's not judge too tough, you know, like let's not be those people. But when it comes down to it, this white man decided that he was going to come up and sneak behind him and put him in a chokehold to the point where this man now lost his life, right? And not to mention that, but you got this Sambo looking brother. I don't know if y'all can see. Look at this Sambo, okay? Look at Sambo over here restraining this man's arms so that even if he was strong enough and had the gumption to resist, he couldn't. But I also want to acknowledge the idea that as this man is doing this chokehold on him, you see that this young man ain't even struggling. This young man meant what he said when he was on this train crying out for help and saying that he wished that he could just go to jail because it would be better than being on the streets and being hungry. And the idea that this man is in a chokehold and this white guy looks like he is giving it everything that he has. And this boy, because he legitimately was not feeling it, just didn't even have the will to fight back. And so at this point, you have him on the floor. He's detained. He's no longer really screaming. Why is the chokehold being held? Why is nobody stopping this? And why is there a Black man helping it happen? There are so many different things that are happening in this scenario. And most of the people are not talking about this Black man that helped it. And I think that beyond the idea of this racist white man clearly once again taking advantage of a situation where he could be racist without actually being called racist because there would be something to justify the behavior, I just for the life of me, y'all, I can't make this make sense. I can't make this make sense. But what's even worse to me is the idea of the way that they painted the headlines afterwards. Do you not know that this Jordan, this kid was painted out as this humongous criminal? They had him all over the blogs and all over CNN and all over the right-wing media and saying that he's had 40 prior arrests and all of these different things. That ain't got nothing to do with the price of tea on the subway, okay? That has nothing to do with any of the things that happened here. The guy who went into the bank and shot 5 people was listed as a possible suspect, even though at the time we knew that he had done it. And they also wrote him up as this amazing person, had this beautiful picture of him from when I guess he got hired at the same bank that he started to shoot people up at, like all of these different things. But then you write up this report about this man who was essentially a victim in every way, shape, or form, no matter which part of the story you enter in on, and y'all make it seem like he's just this horrible criminal, and you pull up his record for what? I can understand them wanting to justify maybe mental health issues, and maybe I would have been okay with that headline. You know, Jordan had mental health issues, he suffered from X, Y, and Z, and so maybe that was a catalyst for why he was on the train, yada, yada, yada. But to bring up the fact that this man had been arrested 40 times after somebody killed him for expressing himself on a train the way that people do 1,000 times a day, didn't sit well with me, and it never will. I'm just not here for it. And I'm also not here, once again, for the Sambo in the bag that was helping the entire thing go down. And I'm not here for a lot of the people who are blatantly ignoring that portion so that we can talk about the white folks. At the end of the day, I want to protect Black men just as much as everybody else. But sometimes Black men are the weakest fucking link, and we have to address it, because otherwise they don't know that. But if you never tell them that something that they've done is a problem, or the optics of something that they've done is a problem, they continue to emulate that bad behavior. And so while I'm going to hold these white people down and be like, no, you racist as fuck, and this is not cool. In every situation where I see a woman get beat up and there's a Black man sitting there not doing anything about it, it's not just about the white guy that hit her, it's about the Black man that did nothing in the space. I'm not going to just talk about this racist man that choked this guy out and not talk about the Black man that's clearly on camera holding his hands down. We have to be able to have conversations that involve nuance and duality. And if we can't do that for the sake of the movement, then we shouldn't be having to fight for it in the first place. If we're not going to be honest about the idea that sometimes we have to check ourselves first in the house, even if we don't do it in front of them, then what's the point of all of this? Because if we're going to allow these people who are emitting bad behavior while we don't have the freedom to do this and continue to do this bad behavior, then what happens when we do get the freedom? If we ever get it? Do they just get to run free and think that it's okay because we let them do it before? I can't, right? So with that being said, y'all, keep an eye out for everybody. Keep your head on the swivel and do all the things. I'm going to move into my final thoughts for today because I done got triggered and worked up. I don't know why I made this the last part of the show, but it is what it is. It ain't what it ain't. Fat meat still greasy and bullshit still stank. So I'm going to leave you all with this. Give people the respect that they ask you for and the respect that they deserve. And beyond that, stop trying to police the opinions of folks that you can never control. Everybody has a path in this world, and everybody is going to make their own choices, but nobody is going to listen to what you say simply because you think that it's the best thing to do. And this is something that we all have to master and learn. Go where you are loved, go where you are wanted, go where you're accepted, go where you're thought about in the highest of lights, and leave everything else where it is. Because trying to force people to get it will always leave you in a space where your heart got a knot in it that you cannot undo alone. Don't be out here needing therapy for the sake of trying to impress people that you don't know and you'll probably never ever meet. And with that being said, have the day that you deserve, and I will catch y'all on the next episode. Bye.
Talk to me nicely. I noticed they heated, we getting icy. Whoa, can't forget all the moments they overpriced me. So now that we up, don't get advice, we know.
If you enjoyed this content, be sure to hit the like button and subscribe to Pyro Media Network's YouTube channel for more awesome content. Plus, don't forget to hit the notification bell so you never miss when we go live or upload new videos. Visit PyroMediaNetwork.com today, not just to check out our incredible roster of talented creatives, but also to gain access to exclusive bonus material available only to our Pyro fam. Show your support for this Black-owned indie network by donating today. Help us keep igniting brands everywhere.